In the Masai Mara, there are rules. Rules written in blood and instinct. Prey runs, predators chase, and humans are supposed to be invisible observers behind glass and steel. But on a scorching Tuesday afternoon in Sector 7, the rules were shattered. Daniel, a veteran ranger with the mobile veterinary unit, was driving the Southern Patrol route. It was the dead hour, that time of day when the equatorial sun is so punishing that even the flies seem too lazy to buzz. The savannah was a painting of stillness. He checked his mirrors. Nothing but dust. He looked ahead. The road was clear, until the grass exploded. She didn't just block the road. She assaulted the vehicle. A full-grown lioness launched herself from the drainage ditch, slamming her 400 pounds of muscle against the front of the Land Cruiser. Daniel slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching on the loose gravel. Before the dust could even settle, the lioness was there. She lunged, sinking her canines into the heavy steel bull bar of the bumper. The sound was sickening, enamel grinding against reinforced iron.
Crazy!
Daniel's partner, Simon, shouted, reaching for the radio.
She's rabid!
Roll up the windows. But Daniel didn't reach for his rifle. He reached for the steering wheel, gripping it white-knuckled. He stared through the windshield, his heart hammering against his ribs. He had seen aggression in lions before. He had seen the territorial rage of a male defending his pride. This was different. The lioness let go of the bumper. She didn't circle the car to find a way in. She didn't roar with the deep, chest-thumping bass of a killer. She ran to the driver's side window. She stood up on her hind legs, her massive paws scratching frantically at the glass. She looked Daniel dead in the eye. Her pupils were dilated, swallowing the gold of her irises. Her ears weren't pinned back in anger. They were swiveling wildly, searching for sounds. Foam dripped from her mouth, not from rabies, but from exhaustion. Let out a sound that Daniel had never heard in 20 years of service. It wasn't a growl. It was a high-pitched, vibrating moan, a cry. She looked at Daniel. Then she dropped to all fours, ran 10 meters into the bush and stopped. She looked back. She let out that cry again. Then she ran back to the truck, hit the door with her paw, and ran away again. She's not hunting us, Simon, Daniel whispered, the realization chilling his blood despite the heat. She's begging. Grab the trauma kit and the heavy shovel, Daniel commanded. We follow her. The Land Cruiser lurched off the main track. This was technically illegal. Off-roading destroys the vegetation, but Daniel knew that in the bush, morality outweighs policy. The lioness led them deep into the whistling thorns, a dense, difficult terrain of acacia scrub and volcanic rock. As they drove, Daniel observed her. She was in bad shape. Her ribs were showing through her dusty coat. She was limping on her back left leg. But more importantly, Daniel noticed her underbelly. She was lactating. She was a mother. And she was alone. Where were her cubs? For a mile, she led them. Every time the truck slowed down to navigate a rock, she would stop and wait, panting heavily, her eyes wide with a frantic impatience, was guiding them. Finally, she stopped near a dry riverbed. The landscape here was scarred by the recent heavy rains. The earth was torn and shifted. The lioness paced nervously in a tight circle around a specific patch of ground, a mound of disturbed red earth near the roots of a shepherd's tree. Daniel killed the engine. The silence rushed in, heavy and oppressive. At first, there was nothing, just the wind in the thorns. Then they heard it, mew mew. It was faint, muffled, coming from under the ground. Daniel jumped out of the car, disregarding protocol. The lioness flinched, her muscles tightening, but she didn't retreat, watched him with an intensity that burned. Looking closely, Daniel saw the tragedy. This had been an old aardvark burrow. The lioness must have used it as a den to hide her newborn cubs from predators while she hunted. But the flash floods from 2 nights ago had destabilized the soil. The roof of the burrow had collapsed, a cave in. Looking through a small fissure in the packed mud, Daniel saw a tiny, wet nose, a single terrified blue eye. A cub, no more than 3 weeks old, was buried alive. The mud had packed around him like concrete. He was trapped in a coffin of clay. He's suffocating. Daniel said, his voice tight. The earth is crushing his chest. We have to dig. Now, Daniel dropped to his knees. He didn't dare use the shovel yet. He couldn't see how the cub's body was positioned. One wrong strike could break the tiny creature's spine. He dug with his bare hands, clawing at the wet, heavy clay. The lioness hovered inches from him. Her breath was hot on his neck. Instinct told her to attack the human near her baby, but her intelligence overrode it. She knew she couldn't dig. Her massive paws were designed for gripping prey, not excavating tunnels. If she tried, her weight would collapse the hole further, crushing her son instantly. So she stood guard, trembling, watching the human do what she could not. I can feel his head. Daniel grunted, sweat stinging his eyes. But the suction is too strong. The mud is like glue. Suddenly, the lioness froze. Her head snapped to the left. Her hackles, the hair along her spine, rose like a mohawk. She let out a low, rumbling growl that vibrated through the ground into Daniel's knees. Daniel stopped digging. He listened. He whooped, the sound that every ranger hates. The giggling cackle of the spotted hyena. They emerged from the tall grass like ghosts. Not one or two, 6 of them. A clan patrol. They had likely been tracking the distressed mother for hours, waiting for a moment of weakness. Now, seeing a human on his knees and a distracted lioness, they saw an opportunity. Hyenas are not the cowardly scavengers of cartoons. They are intelligent, bone-crushing predators with jaws strong enough to snap a buffalo's femur. And they hate lions. It is an ancient war. They kill lion cubs, not just for food, but to eliminate future competition. The leader, a massive female matriarch with a torn ear, stepped forward, testing the perimeter. "Seaman, get the flare gun!" Daniel yelled, not stopping his digging. "Keep them back!" But the lioness didn't wait for the flare. She launched herself. It was a blur of violence. The lioness hit the matriarch with the force of a wrecking ball. Dust and fur flew. She wasn't fighting for territory. She was fighting for her bloodline. Took a bite to the shoulder, slashed back with her claws, and roared with a fury that shook the acacia leaves. She positioned herself between the pack and the hole, forming a living wall of teeth and rage. She was outnumbered 6 to 1. She was exhausted. She was starving, but she held the line. Daniel had the cub's shoulders free. "Come on, little one," he whispered. Behind him, the battle was raging. Snarls, snaps, and the sickening thud of bodies colliding. And then, something strange happened. The hyenas stopped. The matriarch, who had been preparing to flank the lioness, suddenly froze. She lifted her nose to the wind. Her ears swiveled toward the horizon. She didn't look at the lion, didn't look at Daniel. She looked at the south. And then, without a sound, she turned and ran. The rest of the clan followed instantly. In 5 seconds, they had vanished into the bush. The lioness stood there, panting, blood dripping from her flank. She seemed confused. She took a step to chase them, then stopped. Why did they run? Simon asked, holding the flare gun. They were winning. Daniel paused, his hands deep in the mud. He felt it before he heard it. A rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. It was getting faster, louder. The water in the canteen on the ground began to ripple. "Oh no," Daniel whispered. He looked at the horizon. A cloud of dark dust was rising, blotting out the sun. It wasn't a storm, it was a stampede. "Cape Buffalo!" Daniel screamed. "The Black Death!" A herd of 500 Cape buffalo was migrating toward the riverbed. Buffalo are the tanks of the savannah. When they stampede, they don't stop. They don't swerve. They grind everything in their path to paste. The hyenas had heard them coming and fled. They knew that staying meant death. "We have 90 seconds!" Daniel yelled. "If we're here when they cross this ridge, we're dead!" The roar of the approaching herd became a deafening thunder. The ground shook so violently that pebbles started dancing around the hole. The cub was still stuck. The hips were wedged in a root system. "I can't get him!" Daniel cried. The lioness looked at the approaching dust cloud. She looked at her cub. She looked at Daniel. She didn't run. She crouched low over the hole. If her body could stop 1,000 tons of stampeding cattle. Daniel grabbed the shovel. He had to risk it. If he cut the cub, he cut the cub. It was better than being flattened. He jammed the blade into the mud under the cub's belly.
Semen, start the engine. Rev it.
He leveraged the shovel handle with all his weight.
1, 2, Piolau.
With a wet, sickening, sucking sound, the earth gave way. Daniel grabbed the cub. The little creature was limp, covered in cold clay, gasping for air. G-O-T-E. Simon screamed. The truck engine was roaring. The buffalo herd crested the ridge. It was a wall of black muscle and horns, moving at 30 miles per hour. The noise was like a jet engine taking off. Daniel scrambled up the muddy bank, clutching the cub to his chest. The lioness was right beside him. She wasn't leading him now. She was matching his pace. They were 10 meters from the truck. The buffalo were 50 meters away. Daniel lunged for the door Simon had thrown open. But in his panic, his boot caught on a hidden root. Daniel stumbled. He fell hard onto his knees. The cub rolled from his arms onto the grass. From the periphery, a shadow moved. It was one of the hyenas, a straggler that had lingered, hoping to snatch a scrap before fleeing. Seeing the cub fall, instinct took over. The hyena lunged, jaws snapping toward the helpless bundle of fur. Daniel scrambled, reaching out, but he was too slow. But the mother was not. The lioness didn't tackle Daniel. She didn't tackle the cub. She launched herself into the air, soaring over Daniel's head, intercepted the hyena in mid-air, her body acting as a kinetic missile. A slam, she hit the scavenger with such force that the hyena was thrown 10 feet sideways, tumbling into the brush. The impact of the air displacement knocked Daniel back, but he was unharmed. The lioness landed, spun around and snarled, a sound so ferocious it cut through the thunder of the stampede. The hyena scrambled away, terrified. She looked at Daniel. Then at the open door, she didn't attack. She stepped back. She was giving him the lane. Daniel grabbed the cub, threw himself into the cab, and slammed the door. Oh, ho, ho! The Land Cruiser accelerated, swerving out of the path of the stampede just as the first wave of buffalo smashed into the riverbed. Through the rear window, Daniel watched the massive bulls trample the exact spot where he had been kneeling seconds ago. The burrow was obliterated. The earth was churned into dust. Simon drove them to a safe distance up on a rocky outcrop and killed the engine. The dust began to settle. The thunder of hooves faded into the distance. Daniel looked down at his lap. The cub coughed. A tiny puff of dust came out of its nose. Then it let out a high-pitched squeak. Alive. Look, Simon whispered. Daniel looked out the driver's window. She was there. The lioness had outrun the flank of the herd. She was standing by the truck. Her sides were heaving. She was bleeding from the hyena bites. She was exhausted, but she was alive. Walked to the door. Daniel's hand was resting on the door frame, separated from the wild only by a sheet of glass. The lioness didn't claw the door. She didn't bite the tires, raised her massive head. She looked at the cub in Daniel's lap, then up at Daniel's eyes. Her expression had changed. The terror was gone. The aggression was gone. Slowly, she leaned forward. She pressed her forehead against the glass, directly over Daniel's hand. She closed her eyes and held the position. She rubbed her cheek against the window. Once, twice. Daniel felt the vibration of her purr through the steel door. In the wild, this is called head-bunting. It is how lions greet members of their own pride. It involves rubbing scent glands to mark each other as family. She wasn't just saying thank you. She was marking him. She was saying, "You are one of us now." Daniel lowered the window an inch, just enough to slide the cub out. The mother took the little one gently in her jaws. She didn't look back, turned and walked slowly into the tall grass, her tail flicking in the golden sunset. The rangers named the cub Bahati, which means luck in Swahili. But it wasn't just luck that saved him that day. It was the ferocious, intelligent, and undeniable love of a mother who broke every rule of nature to save her child, attacked a truck not to kill, but to beg. She fought off a clan of hyenas. She outran a stampede. And she trusted her greatest enemy, man, with her most precious treasure. We often think we are the only species capable of empathy, altruism, and love. But if you had looked into that lioness's eyes as she pressed her head against the glass, you would know the truth. Love is not human. It is universal. If this story moved you, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to believe in the power of a mother's love. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible true stories from the wild.